first-hand information when it's live. It's going to be recorded, but you want to be able to ask the questions when we have a Q&A moment. So with that being said, guys, this is Samuel Bean. I am one of the Diamond representatives for Origin, and I'm going to be having this interview tonight with our special esteemed colleague and guest. So definitely want to make sure you guys get yourself in a place where you can take some good copious notes, okay? And make sure you make your last minute text messages and let your family members, colleagues, associates, and everybody know that we're going to be getting started shortly. Let me see here.
Good evening, Mr. Bean.
Hey, Tim. Good evening. Tim, do me a favor, if you can. I need you to help as well, as I'm gonna make you a co-host. So if you can let people in when they pop in, that'd be great.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. And so for those of you who are just joining us, if you want to jump on and let us know who you are, where you're calling from before we get started, that'd be great.
Hello, Mr. Bean. This is Cindy out of Houston.
Hey, how we doing?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm super fantastic. I'm here with you. I can't be doing no better than that.
Right.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Bean. Tony Garza down in San Antonio.
Hey, Tony. Good to see you. I'll be seeing you this weekend.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm talking about.
Good evening. This is Pat from Bermuda.
Hey, Miss Pat, how you doing?
I am well.
That's what I'm talking about. That's always good to hear.
Good evening. This is Candy from Houston, Texas.
Hey, my resident nurse, Candy. Welcome.
Good evening, sir. How are we doing?
Fantastic. Exciting evening, guys. So I'm glad you guys can come on here and join us. Definitely want to make sure, again, you take a moment to go ahead and send out your last minute text messages. Go ahead and let everybody know that we're getting started, and we have our SWAT team out here to letting everybody in. And so as people coming on board, they'll be letting them on board. And so again, anybody, if you haven't done so and you wish to do so, go ahead and state your name, where you're calling from for us.
Hey, Sam, reaching out to you from Pittsburgh, PA.
Hey, welcome to the call.
Is MP, Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas in the house. Hey, MP, glad to have you on board.
Cynthia Dixon, Lakeland, Florida.
Hey, Cynthia, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Leroy
Erica Neal, Puerto Rico.
Erica Neal and Mr. Leroy, welcome to the call, guys.
Dr. Felicia from Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Hey, Doc, welcome to the call.
Hey, thank you.
Maddie, Middlebrook,
That was one of my elite students. What's going on, Miss Maddie? Glad to have you here.
Jay Mosley, Dallas, Texas.
Miss Mosley, welcome to the call.
Hi, Wendy from Idaho.
Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay, we got a Buckeye on here. We got Leslie Johnson on here. We have who else was there?
Wendy from Idaho.
Hey, Wendy. Welcome.
Hi,
glad
Sam.
to have you.
Lucian Murphy from Clinton, Arkansas.
Hey, Lucian, welcome to the call.
Amy Watson from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey, Amy, welcome. Glad to have you.
This is Emma Artis again of the DMV.
Hey, Emma, welcome to the call.
Thank you, sir.
Sid from Houston.
Hey, Sid, welcome to the call.
All right, thanks.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. What I want to do right now is I'm going to go make sure I know I have my esteemed colleague on here, but what I do want to do is make sure multi-speaker view. There we go. So, guys, this is a very special interview tonight. We get a chance to interview someone who is a face, as a chiropractor and a doctor. He's been around this industry for a long time, and from a medical perspective and a business perspective, a guy who's made a ton of money as an entrepreneur and also made a ton of impact as a person of chiropractor and a doctor. And so when I looked at this opportunity, I looked at this product, it was one of the main reasons why I took it serious. One of the main reasons why, I really looked at this thing, with a fine tooth comb because when I say he and the way he described everything, the way he explained everything and broke everything down, he made it make sense to me. And so got a chance to meet him in LA, got a chance to sit down and ask questions and get some things figured out and figured out this is exactly where I really need to be. And so tonight, this is exactly where you need to be, guys. You're in the right place at the right time and make sure you do the right thing, which is take notes. And if you have any questions, make sure you get those questions written down and put them in the chat when we suggest that you do that. So, but I do want to bring, to the line, my esteemed colleague, Dr. Jeremy Thornton. How you doing, Doc?
Hey, how's Mr. Samuel tonight?
Man, I'm fantastic. Like I said, I've been waiting on this moment here. I'll tell you, we planned this about a week ago, and I appreciate the sacrifices that you made because I know you have a team over in Jamaica, and they're probably a little salty at me right now because I took you away from them. You kind of double booked on them, and so thank you for keeping this appointment. And I know you didn't have to, so I appreciate that.
Excited to be here.
All right. And so when you look at this company, I know, you've been dealing with products, forever. You've been pitched products forever. And, and this is something, a curveball, I'm just going to come right out the gate with you on, what makes this product different than the rest and from a standpoint of what you are offering, along with the other products that you may be offering?
Yeah, well, Sam, honestly, I wasn't terribly interested when I first heard about a natural peptide supplement. I'd tried natural peptides before, wasn't impressed with what I had seen, and almost didn't give this another look, which I'm so glad I did. Um, and actually, I tried the drops, right, which was what we started with, the Tri GLP, over the holidays of last year. So in Christmas and the New Year, a friend of mine had just kind of been relentlessly telling me I need to try these drops. And so I said, okay. But trying the drops, a metabolic supplement over the holidays, probably not the smartest thing I've ever done. But I had already kind of in my mind thought this isn't going to help me. This isn't going to work. And long story short is I'd actually lost weight over the holidays. So it took me back for a second. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What are these drops exactly? And what are they doing? So I took a closer look. So I dove into the company origin. I dove into the science behind the bioactive peptide drops from Norwegian salmon. And the more I looked into it, the more excited I got. So I started using it with myself and with my family. And that's what a good physician does, right? The guinea pig, their family and close friends. So I had anybody that would give this a try on the drops. And the more people that were trying it and the feedback I was getting was kind of mind blowing. And I was getting responses in health from things that I was not expecting. So, I came into this conversation thinking we were talking about fat loss. But what I was seeing, and although we did see that, thankfully I needed to lose some myself. But what I was seeing was far beyond the fat loss conversation. And the research also goes far beyond the fat loss conversation. So I fell in love with this technology early on, and honestly have not been able to stop talking about it since then. And so I have seen a lot of products over the years. I've not seen a lot of great products in the area of metabolism, metabolic health, insulin resistance, true fat loss. Uh, I've tried a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things, but I have not seen anything that was really exciting in that area. And so, what I found is this probably is the most impactful product that I've seen in 28 years of practice. And I say that because the benefits are so widespread over so many different aspects of health and human physiology that it's impossible to unsee this once you see it. And when I really finally got a grasp on what this was and what we had our hands on, I honestly had trouble sleeping because I knew that this could impact a lot of lives, and I knew that this could change the trajectory of a lot of people's health. And as you know, Sam, we need that here, especially in the United States. I know we have people on from all over the world, but when over 70% of the population is obese or overweight, 1 in 3 are are pre-diabetic, 1 in 8 are diabetic, and over 70% is insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome, we need some help, right? And what I'm excited about is what I'm seeing this do in people's health. And anyway, I know that was a long answer to your question, but I hope that made sense.
That made a lot of sense. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna rep a couple of them out for you. But since you're talking about what you're seeing the product do, um, obviously, people's health, and how unhealthy people are getting is evolving at a rapid rate. And so, would you say you're seeing weight, inflammation, mobility, energy, body composition, and metabolic health becoming an interconnected problem rather than separate conversations now?
It absolutely is. I mean, obesity and blood sugar dysregulation are driving all of the big killers, right? Across the board, whether we're talking about heart disease, which is the number one killer, or we're talking about cancer, or we're talking about neurodegenerative conditions, all of these things are significantly driven by obesity and blood sugar problems. And so, you almost can't talk about one disease without coming back to these conditions that we're talking about now.
Yeah, yeah. And when I actually when people come to you, let's just say if they came to you for advice, or have they come to you for advice on GLP-1s, because obviously they see you for the things, but have they come to you, for your advice on those, and what would that advice have been?
Well, there is a need for GLP-1s. Of course, it was designed for diabetics, and I think there's a time and a place for the injections. But by far being the number one weight loss drug on the planet, I have pause for that. And the reason I say that is because there are a fair amount of potential side effects with the GLP-1s, especially. And and so what I see in my office, of course, is a lot of times I see when medicine hasn't gone well, right? So a lot of times people will try the medical route, and if they don't see good results there, they will seek alternative medicine, right? Which is then they usually look into functional medicine or natural medicine. And a lot of times these are the patients that I've seen, sometimes where medicine has failed. Um, and so the scary part to me, Sam, is that on a GLP-1, most people don't realize this, but a GLP-1 agonist, we should say that GLP-1 is a natural hormone made by the body, but GLP-1 agonist, like semaglutide, um, has about 40% of the weight loss being muscle and bone, so lean tissue. Out of the weight lost, 40% is lean muscle and bone. So I don't know about y'all, but that's scary to me. And metabolically devastating to the health of the people that are experiencing that. So, Sam, let's say that I did the shot for weight loss, and let's say I was successful at losing 50 pounds. Well, potentially 20 pounds of that was muscle and probably some bone, right? So the most metabolically important organ in my body, I'm now 20 pounds down. And also, when we replace a hormone in the body, what's the body do? It says, I don't need to make this hormone anymore, right? So if we replace a GLP-1 hormone and that pathway in the body doesn't need to work anymore. So we've done that for maybe months now, maybe a year or more. We're down 20 pounds of muscle. And unfortunately, the medical community at its large, there's some that are doing a good job at this, many aren't in preparing people for the effects of this, right? And how to minimize the side effects, how to minimize the muscle and bone loss, how to prioritize protein in their diet and activity, how to prioritize weightlifting, for example, to maintain as much muscle as we can, and how to successfully discontinue. And that conversation oftentimes isn't happening. And so after a period of time, of course, most people would eventually like to come off of the medication, right? Unfortunately, that's not the plan. That's not the pharma plan, is for you to come off of these injections. So we come off the injections, and guess what happens, right? Everybody knows what happens is we put that weight back on because we haven't made any changes. We haven't been taught any better. We haven't been given the tools we need to make this a long-term commitment and then be successful. So the weight comes back on. Plus, our GLP-1 has been shut down for months. We have 20 pounds less muscle. And of course, we're going to put that weight back on, but are we going to put the muscle back on? And the answer is, of course not. So
Right.
now we're 50 pounds back and 20 pounds more fat than we had to start with. And again, 20 pounds less muscle. So metabolically, we are in way worse shape than we were 50 pounds ago. And the sad part here, Sam, is that a lot of times people are saying, well, I can't lose this on my own. And by that time, metabolically, they're probably right. They're really having trouble now. They already had trouble. Now they're really having trouble. And they feel like the only option they have is to just turn back to the shot. And you can guess what happens, right? If we go on the shot again, we drop another 50 pounds. Well, guess what? We've dropped more muscle. And the scary part is that people may not ever recover from that point, right? If you think about how hard it is to put back lean muscle tissue, um, it's difficult, especially if you're over 40 or over 50 or over 60. You know what I mean? So now we're trying to put this muscle back on, and a lot of times it ain't going to happen. And so this is what I think people just need to think through. Now, there's other potential side effects. And again, I'm not against the shots in all cases. There's times when diabetics, it's a lifesaver. But we have to weigh, right, the cost benefit ratio and what's my plan after? What's my off ramp, right? What's next? Is this a lifelong thing for me? And that's where this technology, I think, is shines, right? There's so many other health benefits besides fat loss and blood sugar dysregulation, but that's a big one. And when we could see similar benefits in the area of fat loss with zero muscle loss or bone loss, when we can see improvements in insulin sensitivity in the body and in fasting insulin and A1C and blood sugar and our cholesterol, without the side effects from a natural source, not a synthetic one, that's taken orally and not by injection, and is affordable, right? I think more people need to know about this.
Now, and a couple things real quick, because like you hit on it, and I think people really don't understand how important what you said is when it comes to people losing lean muscle. Okay, how important? Like, what does it do? What does lean muscle do for the body, and which makes it so important and vital that a person should not want to lose it?
Yeah. Well, the main thing, a lot of people that are coming into this conversation with obesity and blood sugar dysregulation, the muscle is a big component of using that sugar, right? And so we already have a blood sugar problem, and now one of our primary tissues that helps kind of control and utilize some of that glucose, we're now down, right? And so we've now made a bad problem even worse. So um, not only that, but the muscle is what burns. There's takes a lot of calories just to keep this lean muscle. And now we're not burning those calories anymore, right, from that muscle lost. And so that's one of the reasons. And of course, keeping healthy bone requires healthy muscle attached to that bone that's going to keep that bone strong. And so when we start messing with muscle and muscle loss, it quickly can turn south on us, right? And people get weaker, mobility decreases, bone density decreases, blood sugar gets worse because we have less lean muscle than we started with. And it can just really, really snowball from there.
Well, I appreciate that because people hear it and they really don't understand it. They hear you say how important it is, but they really didn't get it until then. And one of the things when you talk about how hard it is, guys, to beat the weight loss situation that you're in, that you may find yourself in. Uh, for most of you who know my story, I fought for 23 years to get control of my weight. And the thing about it is, I wasn't just fighting against my own self. I was fighting against the drugs that they put in the food. And a lot of people don't understand that part. The things that you're eating is it has chemicals in it to mess with your brain and make you want to continue to eat. And when you're not hungry, make you crave things when you really don't crave it. And it's telling you to do things that, you know for a fact that you don't want to do, shouldn't do, and don't have a need to do, but you're not in control. And for 23 years, I was out of control. Right. And so I'm telling you, the natural route is the best route, it's the healthiest route, and it took you years to get in that condition. And so just be patient and get out of it in a patient manner, all natural manner, rebuild the body from the cellular level and get yourself back to where you really need to be. And that's what I did. But I actually hit a wall, and I love this product because I hit a wall when I lost 55 pounds, and I was stuck fluctuating between 5 pounds for about 4 months. And I got this product, and immediately I saw the difference. I felt the impact. Muscles, were no longer aching, from sore from working out 4 to 5 days a week. One of my old injuries from the military 30 years ago, that was chronic pain. That's not there. I have full range of motion on my shoulder right now. Sleep, I sleep like a hibernating bear now. I get really good sleep. I no longer do business in my sleep. And these are the things that me, as a person who, is in pretty decent shape and work out on a regular basis, these are the things that I notice right away. But things that I noticed also was 12 pounds in 3 weeks off, broke through that wall, and 1.5 inches off the waistline, almost 2 inches off the waistline additional. And so what I've been seeing with this product is that a lot of people, the scale, and I've heard you say this before, throw the scale away. And I've seen a lot of people, they're at 5 pounds or 10 pounds, but they've lost 2 inches, 3 inches off their waistline. They're shrinking. Is that from the anti-inflammatory? What do you contribute that to, where people are seeing the weight remove, the size shrink faster than the weight is lost? What do you contribute that to?
Right. Some of that's fluid loss, water loss. Um, when insulin levels drop, it pulls a lot of inflammation, and this is where a lot of times people are feeling that, right, in their joints and their muscles. They're feeling less inflammation. When that drops, it pulls a lot of fluid along with it. So we could see fluid fluctuation without seeing major change on the scale. Also, when we improve glucose utilization by the body, sometimes the body will also uptake glucose more efficiently into that muscle tissue, and the stored form of glucose called glycogen pulls fluid along with it. So we're pulling a little bit of fluid into our muscles, right, as this whole blood sugar dysregulation problem is improving, and we're seeing people gain muscle, right? They're literally gaining muscle, lean muscle tissue. So of course, all of that is being weighed on the scale, which doesn't give you that information, right? It just gives you one number, doesn't tell you what it's weighing. It just tells you that one number. And that can be misinterpreted, and often is, that, hey, this isn't working for me, or this isn't doing a very good job. And they're not seeing the big picture, right? And so you're right. I always tell people to give their scale to that person they don't like. And either get one of the fancy scales that can measure. They've got some really good ones now that are reasonably priced. And if not that, where you can actually measure lean tissue and muscle and fat and all that. Measure yourself, take pictures, take before and after pictures, and measure yourself, right? Because that's going to give you more true indicator of what's changing and what's not changing. So.
Gotcha. Now you have some people who I know. I have people like Carly Wynn, who was on Manjaro, and she just happened to be in between cycles and getting ready to purchase, and she ordered ours, and now she's no longer on Manjaro. She likes the way it makes her feel. But for the people who have been on these drugs for a long time, and they don't want to get off of them, or are afraid to get off of them, what would you tell them when it comes to the ability to use both at the same time?
Yeah, and that's a great point. The difference here in approach is that a GLP-1, for example, is mimicking that natural hormone produced by the body, right? And it's driving those receptors in the body, and they're all over, right? That hormone's produced in the gut. Those receptors are throughout the body, muscles, heart, brain, everywhere. And so this is driving those receptors throughout the body pretty aggressively. And so the difference in approach here is with this technology, whether we're talking about the drops or we're talking about the Ignite powder, is that we're uplifting and supporting those naturally existing, and now we're talking about three GLP pathways with this technology, not just one in a shot, but three GLP pathways, and we're supporting those pathways that the body's already, supposed to be doing and is doing. Sometimes that gets hindered by wear and tear and abuse and lifestyle and bad choices and things. But so we're supporting that the normalization and improvement of those GLP pathways and hormones. So We're not trying to replace or mimic those. So that's a difference in approach there. And so by doing that, again, we're not putting a GLP-1 on top of a GLP-1, right? It's not apples and apples here. Totally different approach. So we can utilize this with injections, right? It's totally safe. We're just dealing with food, right? Bioactive salmon peptides. We're dealing with food that have the ability to signal, right, the body in some pretty amazing ways. So what I see is, of course, in we're not telling people they should go stop their shots, right? That's not what we're doing here tonight. And if you're making any changes in that, that needs to be done through your doctor. But what I've seen is that people could certainly add this, and I think that's advantageous to add this to support that GLP pathway, and then possibly be able to wean down if that's their goal, right? There's nothing wrong. They could use both, but most are wanting an off ramp, and so the ability to add this and wean down off of their injections is a smart thing, right? So we're not making any sudden, drastic changes inside the body, and that seems to work quite well. And now we're supporting those GLP pathways. We're still controlling appetite, controlling cravings, improving and normalizing blood sugar and insulin responses, and reducing inflammation and those types of things with this natural, organic, technology.
And I appreciate you saying that because that's an amazing way you actually just packaged everything and delivered it. And I'm glad you did that. I was over here smiling. But also, if you can, don't raise the bottle up again because I had mine in the refrigerator. I was waiting to drink it before I get to this call. Every time you do it, I'm getting, see, that's not right. That's not right. But I'm glad you said that because I do have some people who are on here. I have two chiropractors on here and individual who actually owns a peptide clinic. And I'm glad you expressed that because when you're talking to chiropractors and you're talking to people who actually do sell their form of peptides and GLP-1s and things like that, how would you suggest they implement this into their offerings?
Well, first off, 10% of the population is on a GLP. Many of those are interested in an eventual um, end to that, right? And so this could be the answer for those that want an alternative or a transition at some point. It's estimated that 35% of the population or more is currently looking into the GLP space, but they're hesitant to pursue those options, right? And so, if a clinic has peptides and offering that, why not have something for the other 35% of the population that's looking, right? That hasn't decided to get in the injection game at this point. And so that's one thing that I've noticed that people that are in the peptide space are doing. They're like, wow, why not have both, right? Why not offer the injection for those that need it, right? And there's other peptides out there that people are using besides GLPs for sure. But why not have something for the other folks that are maybe not as interested in an injection every week in their tummy, right? Or that's not as excited about a synthetic ingredient being injected. And so it just makes sense that this would be a great tool to have. Now your natural practitioners, maybe they're not interested in offering synthetic ingredients. And again, what a win here. We have something that's getting results that people are after and searching and seeking for and putting themselves in harm's way for without the danger that's associated with those things. And so it just makes sense to the physicians and natural physicians and naturopaths, the chiropractors, the functional medicine doctors, um, that the nutritionist, right, to have something that is natural and organic without the side effects, right? And that's affordable. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are, if insurance doesn't cover it, they're forking out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for peptide support. And we have something that's, about 90% less than many of those options.
Mhm. Now, while we're on the topic of chiropractors and doctors and people in the medical field, um, let's just say I put my skeptical hat on. So okay, well, what do you have, behind the company, behind the product that says I should put my name on your brand?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that was something that was important to me because there's a lot of products out there that have a lot of hype, right? That make a lot of claims that say they can do this or that. But when you really pull back the curtain and take a look, there's no real science there, right? It's just a bunch of claims, maybe a few ingredients that have some popular abilities that are kind of fairy dusted. I call it fairy dusted because there's usually not enough of that, whatever that ingredient or herb is, to have the physiological function that it's known for. But a lot of supplement companies will take those popular things. Lately it was berberine not too long ago, right? And so I've seen a lot of companies that were sprinkling their product and calling it a berberine and a blood sugar and weight loss product. And when you looked at it, there was hardly any berberine in there. Certainly not enough to get the berberine benefits. And so, but that happens all the time in the supplement industry. And so, what I was excited about with this is that it's not, it's not. I mean, it's new to the population, right? This technology was just released um, very early this year, and so it's new to the population, but it's not a new technology, right? We have over 10 years of research into this peptide technology. Um, I think we're up to 10 published studies. It's NDA certified by the FDA as a new dietary ingredient, and that's a big deal because they don't pass those out, just hand those out to just anybody, right? About 30% are the only ones that actually get approved for that NDI designation. So the FDA looks into that. Has 13 FDA structure and function claims. Again, that's very rare in the nutritional industry. If you see a company that's lucky enough to have a structure or function claim by the FDA, it's usually one. This technology has 13, and I expect more are coming. And so that's a big deal, right? They don't just, literally let supplement companies make claims. And so that got my attention, right? And so all of these things. And then we have it's kosher certified and halal certified and FCCP certified and non-GMO and GMP certified. And so this is just a new level really of um, certification and certainty, and I call it beyond organic, right? It's not just organic because that doesn't always mean anything these days. Definitely beyond organic. And so when you add up all of that, right, that's easy for me to stand behind, right? That's easy for me to feel confident and share this with others because it's not like the jury's out. We're not sure what this can do or if it works or if it has these benefits. We already know it does, and we have the science to back that up.
Hmm. Now, I've been in nutraceutical, sales, not pharmaceutical sales, but nutraceutical sales for many years. And one of our biggest runs was with a healthier coffee, and we had a nutraceutical supplement in it and external. And one of the things that people get confused is side effects over um, detox symptoms, right? And so um, when we had our nutraceuticals in other companies, people's bodies obviously were at a certain state, in a certain condition. And when they consumed those herbs and those products that we had, their body started to detox through the pores, skin, some rashes and stuff like that, or they may have gotten some headaches and things like that. And and most people didn't know that it was a detox situation, and they should just drink way more water and continue taking the product because it was working. Can you explain the difference between a detox symptom and a side effects, and why we don't have side effects?
Right. Yeah, that's important to talk about, because if you just look at the GLP pathways that this supports, even if that's the only thing we dive into, the GLP-1 is going to be improving insulin signaling, right? It's going to be improving blood sugar. It's going to be improving appetite. It's going to be reducing inflammation. And then the GLP-2 is kind of the gut healing, peptide and pathway. It repairs leaky gut and improves the gut microbiome and it treats and repairs leaky gut, strengthening that intestinal lining, that barrier, improving nutrient absorption by that gut lining. And then the GIP pathway is similar in its impact on inflammation and blood sugar and insulin resistance in the body, and metabolism and maintaining lean muscle. So, if you look at those three pathways that we're supporting here, there's a lot of things shifting in the body when we're utilizing this, right? And almost everything will go back to gut. For example, let's pick on gut for a second. A lot of conditions are driven or caused by or connected with gut issues, right? Not poor digestion or inflammation in the gut or leaky gut or food sensitivities. All these types of things are driving a lot of these things. And so when you start to shift things like that and create a more healing environment in the body, and we reduce some of the stress and strain on the body, we're lowering that inflammation level in the body. We're improving and protecting against oxidative stress and damage in the body. That body can start to shift into let's clean house here, right? Let's take some of this energy and let's clean house. And so it's not unusual when you're supporting the body in so many amazing ways like this does. The body decides I need to get rid of some of this junk, right? And so it's not unusual to have some impact or some effects of that in many different ways. So some people might experience some fatigue. We're talking about a lot of people get energy, but some people might experience fatigue. Some people might have a little bit of a tummy ache or a headache. Some people may just feel achy in general, and those are common detox, or they call it Herxheimer type responses in the body when it's cleaning house. And so I always, when I hear things like this, or they could be a little nauseous, right? Or they could have a little constipation. They might have a little diarrhea. I encourage them, if they believe that that's connected to the start of that supplement, is I generally will just have them cut back by about 50% and just hang in there, right? Make sure they're getting plenty of fluids, like you said, is utmost importance, because most people aren't. Let's be honest. Most people aren't getting anywhere near enough water. And then we're detoxing. Of course, the body's not going to be happy. We're detoxing. We don't have enough water to help flush that out. And so that can certainly happen when we put that body in a healing mode and a healing opportunity, that it cleans house a little bit. And some people will experience some detox effects. It's not like side effects, right? We're not shutting the gut down with a GLP-1, right? We're not causing pancreatitis and inflammation in the pancreas. We're not causing bone or muscle loss or gallbladder inflammation or the different things. Those are true side effects. These effects are just simply the body doing what it's designed to do, which is to heal and repair and detox.
Yeah, one of the scariest things out there is that, it's gotten so bad that it's almost like a Russian roulette type of situation with the drugs, because you have people who the needle is their last alternative. It's the last choice that they see out there. And I don't blame them. I understand. I've been at my wit's end with it, and to a point where I thought I'd never, ever be at a normal weight again. And so, I don't judge anybody, for the steps that they've taken. And but to see people die, after using certain drugs, Ozempic, I know two people personally over the last 6 weeks who passed away because of that, the paralysis of the stomach, what you were talking about a little bit earlier, in Dawkins terms. But when I look at people who, again, when you talk about the amount of people who are out there who have diabetes or who are diabetic and who are maybe taking, medication for it, for like and people who are taking like Ozempic for it and things like that for it. Um, what do you do? What could a person see or experience? We don't make any claims, but for a person who is, with those conditions, what could they see, or what could this food do to help them see some type of change in their bodies? Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times we see fairly quickly people are noticing changes in their body. Less inflammation is kind of one of the first things a lot of people will notice. And because a lot of people are inflamed, right? People are riddled with inflammation. And a lot of that's driven by lifestyle, it's driven by toxicity, it's driven by sugar, all the things. And so a lot of times people will notice that fairly quickly. Less inflammation, just feel good, their joints feel better, their muscles feel better. Um, they oftentimes, if they are tracking their sugar, which I always encourage, especially people that are diabetics to make sure they're keeping an eye on things. A lot of them are noticing improvements in their blood sugar. And one of the things that I've been privileged to see, and we've only been utilizing this technology for, I recently had lab work back that I shared with you, Sam, of that patient who had just gotten back like 6 months ago, right? They'd been on the product for 6 months, and we were talking about their blood sugar levels, and so we're seeing improvement in their A1C, improvement in their blood sugar, improvement in their fasting insulin, improvement in their inflammatory markers if their physician's monitoring that. But as far as the specific things that they may notice is improved sleep. That's a common one we hear. Um, and we hear improvement in hormone symptoms, and especially in our perimenopausal and menopausal ladies. We're hearing about in better mood, just feeling better, being happier. And that makes sense when you just look at the gut, right? When 90% of the serotonin is made in the gut, 50% of dopamine is made in the gut. If we have a healthier gut, we're just going to feel better, right? Have better mood, better energy. We're absorbing nutrients better now, so we're getting more vitamins and minerals. So that's going to help with energy, right? Our blood sugar is better, so we're not going to have that roller coaster of blood sugar all day, right? Where sugar's up and it's down, it's up and it's down, and we in the afternoon we need a nap. Um, so those are things that I hear fairly quickly that people are noticing. And of course, when we're shifting those things, people are going to experience, if they need to, they're going to experience fat loss because, I call insulin, which is where most people are stuck, is in insulin resistance. So their body's cranking out, their pancreas is cranking out so much insulin to try to keep that blood sugar dialed in, and the cells in the body and the brain, the muscles, the organs, the tissues. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. All those cells are like, oh, big deal, more insulin. And so this high level of insulin is trying to keep that sugar under control. And I call that the hibernation hormone. Man, it just wants to store everything, wants to store it away, and it doesn't want to let loose of it. And so that when we start to shift the body, and that's where a lot of people give up, right? Is they're insulin resistant. They try to eat a little bit better. They try to get moving a little bit more, and they don't see anything, right? They don't see any changes right away, and so a lot of times they just throw in the towel. This isn't working. I can't lose weight, and that's because that insulin is just holding on to all of that. So when we can start to shift that, right? When we can start to lower that insulin level, improve the body's response to that insulin message, suddenly that insulin starts to go down again because the body's listening. The pancreas doesn't have to crank out that much insulin. And then the body starts to finally let loose of some of that fat, right? And so that's pretty exciting.
Almost like almost like the bamboo tree effect. It takes a little while, but just keep on, watering it and have faith. You talked about the hormones, and that's I had a young lady this morning on our walk and talk by the name of Donna Catelli, and she talked about how she goes to the gym, and she was going to the gym all the time, working out, working out, working out, could not lose weight, and it was because of her hormones. And so, but she got on the product. Now she's not only lost weight, she's lost inches. Skin is clearing up. As a matter of fact, they had a young lady by the name of, as a matter of fact, I think she's actually on here, Marlene Biggs. And Marlene, she was talking about, on our call, she said, I was taking my makeup off and I'm looking in the mirror like this makeup won't come off. And she realized the makeup was off, but her skin looked better. And so I'm like, that's hot. I love that. And that's what I'm talking about right there. But we talk about the anti-aging, we talk about the hair, we talk about the nails, and how those things are affected and impacted. And we see people, who are experiencing that. As a matter of fact, even your before and after picture looks amazing. I saw it today. I'm like, wow, night and day. But when you look at the people who have some other concerns, it's like you have my pregnant women that are out there, women who are breastfeeding, and they may have a medical condition or upcoming surgery, or even maybe on another medication outside of GLPs. What do you say to those individuals?
Yeah. Well, first of all, they definitely should run it by their physician, who's probably not heard of this, but so I'll prepare you that. But again, we're just dealing with food, right? These are bioactive peptides from Norwegian salmon. So there you go. In the drops, we have a little bit of ginger root extract, a little bit of lemon peel extract, both organic, a little bit of water. That's all that's in here. In here, we have the same bioactive peptide, salmon peptides, with a little bit of stevia, a little bit of ginger root for color, right? Um, and and a little bit of cranberry and apple flavoring. But so we're just dealing with food ingredients. We're not dealing with pharmaceuticals. We're not dealing with chemicals. And so now, while again we should run things by our doctor, but we're not going to see an impact on other supplements, right? We're not. It's not going to mess with your blood pressure medication. Not going to mess with your blood thinning medication. Now, it may improve your blood pressure over time, right? Which may require you over time to take less blood pressure medication, but what a problem to have, right? Same thing with blood sugar medication. If we're improving insulin sensitivity in the body, over time they may need less of that diabetic medication, right? And that's a good thing as well. But no interaction with medications. No, it is safe for pregnancy and lactation. Um, let's see, what was there? Was there another one I missed in there, Sam?
That's the part, somebody who's upcoming surgery or who may
Oh
be on
yeah,
medication.
yeah, yeah. It's probably not good to maybe take it the day before, but as far as being off of it for 2 weeks in case it has blood thinning properties, we're not going to see that. There's a trace amount of ginger. I hear that. Well, it's got ginger. Ginger can thin the blood. It's just got a tiny amount of ginger. You're doing a few drops a day. We're not pounding ginger capsules or eating ginger. So we're not going to see that blood thinning of the ginger, and certainly not of the salmon peptides. And so um, yeah, I think that answered that.
Yes, it did, and I'm glad you brought that up because Angel Trina actually, the first day, she saw a difference in her A1C, and that was amazing. The only thing she changed was her using the drops and using the drinks, and so again, no claims. But looking at because you did bring up the Norwegian salmon, and we do have people who um, have food allergies when it comes to crustaceans and seafood in general. What do you say to them and to kind of let them know what they can look forward to or what they may be experiencing?
Yeah, and we do work with a lot of very sick people with a lot of allergies, and that's not unheard of to have a sensitivity to seafood. And so the good news is that when they extract, so if you think about it this way, peptides, first we have proteins, right? In the breakdown of proteins, we have amino acids. And then breakdown of that, amino acids smaller than that, we have peptides. And the peptides in this technology are so small that they're measured in Daltons. And that is so tiny that your immune system does not recognize that peptide in Dalton size. It does not recognize that as salmon. It recognizes that as a signal, right? And so even those that have, fish allergies or seafood allergies can utilize this because it's not triggering it's not triggering an allergy response.
Hmm. So when you look at some of the other things and other questions that people have, and again, when you look at teenagers, like I have student athletes, I have a freshman and a senior, play football and the different types of sports. What would you say to those who have student athletes, and also in general, two-part question for because I do have a gym owner. I have two gym owners on here right now, and what would you tell to them that they can actually advertise or market or give to their trainers or to their customers that come to their gyms as well?
Yeah, and I would also add on to that. We've got a lot of youth that are overweight. We have a lot of youth that have blood sugar problems, right? I've had adolescent patients that were type 2 diabetic. That's not a good place to start, folks. At a teenager and you're type 2 diabetic, right? So could certainly be used in youth, in kids and teens, right? For one, could be used for blood sugar, could be used for being overweight, right? Our kids experience insulin resistance too, in alarming numbers. So it could be a helpful tool for them to get their weight down, right? If they're overweight or obese or struggling with that or struggling with blood sugar disorders. Um, but the studies are pretty amazing in the area of lean muscle. And this is why we talked earlier about, people are gaining muscle and it may be offsetting what they think they're losing on the scale, right? And one of the studies showed that it reduced and it hindered two proteins. One specifically is myostatin, and the other one is activin A. And it significantly suppressed these two proteins. And why that's important is these two proteins generally limit muscle growth and they promote muscle breakdown, right? And so this peptide technology significantly impacted both of those proteins, lowering those. And if we lower those proteins, it's going to allow the body to not only maintain and keep that healthy muscle, but gain muscle. And also, it significantly increases amino acid uptake, especially lysine. And those that are in the muscle building world know that lysine is a big trigger for the body saying, okay, let's make some new muscle. Let's make some lean muscle. And so when you combine those things, we're putting in the body in just an amazing place to be able to put on lean muscle tissue. And we're hindering things that hinder muscle, not only those proteins, but inflammation can hinder muscle, right? Blood sugar imbalances can hinder muscle tissue. And so we're really putting ourselves in a good way. And I use this because, depending on, Sam, what lens you look at this product in, this could look like an athletic performance supplement, right? You could argue that that's what this is. You could also argue that this is a longevity and anti-aging powerhouse. We have studies on its impact on skin and hair and nails. We talked about how it impacts and protects us against oxidative stress on the body, how it decreases inflammation. So we could argue this is as an anti-aging supplement. Then we could argue that this is an anti-inflammatory supplement, right? That could rival things like turmeric. We could argue that this is a blood sugar regulation product, right? That's improving blood sugar and insulin sensitivity in the body. We could also then argue that this is a fat loss supplement, and indeed it can do that. So I just want to say that for people to kind of wrap their mind around all that we're talking about here in one ingredient, right? And so it's something that's just very special and something that I have not seen anything quite like this before.
That's what I'm talking about. And guys, right now, since we're on the last leg, we have 10 minutes left. Definitely go ahead and put your questions in there, but make sure you put question first and then put your question beneath it. So we can go ahead and do some rapid fire questions for Doc before we return him back to his beautiful family. But
that costs extra, Sam.
I got you, Doc. I got you. I can make it. I can make it. Like I said, hey, we're making it happen, right? But I was just looking at some of the comments in here, and I see Kim Barcelos. So my blood pressure is now stable. Doctor visit last Thursday. Took them all the way off, the medication. And see, that's the thing that I really get excited about. Seeing people, remove themselves from medication ultimately, not because you just don't want to be on it, but because now you've earned the right to actually get off of it. And so that's why it's really important for you guys to do it the way, the healthy way, the natural way, the patient way, and rebuild your body up. It took you a while to get there. The condition that you're in right now, that just didn't happen overnight, right? And so for me, like, we walk every day. I've been walking 10,000 steps since January the 6th, 5 days a week, right? And I did it for 30 days, and I was fasting, all natural, right? And that's how I lost 28 pounds first 30 days, 55 pounds in 90 days. And even after the first 30 days, I started doing some strength training because I realized that even in fasting, I lost some lean muscle, right? And so I started strength training while I was walking, while I was fasting. And so, but I did start to see, my body start to heal in different areas and really get healthy. And I was able to, see things that I would go to the VA hospital for are no longer challenges. And so, guys, I'm telling you, it's worth it. This could add years to your life. It really could. And so just want to give you guys what I'm seeing, what other people are seeing. But question, comparing this to the big guy on the block from Eli Lilly, how does each component compare to their GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon? This is probably one of my
So
probably one of my.
So Eli,
chiropractors.
Eli, Eli Lilly's spending hundreds of millions of dollars on the three pathway injectable, right? That is due to possibly be approved next year. Um, and they've already set aside 55 billion with a B for manufacturing of Retta. And the let's see, what was I going to say? At the price tag of somewhere between 12 to $1,800 a month is what it's estimated to cost. Anybody want to sign up for that? First of all, people can get it on the black market right now for relatively cheap, but that's not what Eli has planned for, right? So, honestly, I have worked with a few athletes that have used Retta, and they've tried this technology, and the feedback has been that they notice fairly similar benefits. That it's impacting the food noise, right? It's controlling cravings and appetite. It's improving their blood sugar and their inflammation. It's enhancing lean muscle. Um, and so, I would argue that this has similar benefits as the other three pathway injectable. Now, um, but we're not going to have the side effects. So, hope that made sense.
Gotcha. Now, with the I don't want to embarrass anybody, so I'm not going to say any names, but and I've had guys come and tell me, hey, look, I don't know if this my testosterone, is increasing or whatever it is, but um, my nightlife is a whole lot better and so I don't know if you want to speak on that. If you can't speak on that, if there's anything that you've heard, seen, read, there's some guys out there.
Right,
Fire
right.
might as well.
We call it the liquid Viagra, right? No, it a lot of the things that we just talked about as impacting health will also impact that part of male performance and physiology when we're talking about blood sugar dysregulation, and we're talking about inflammation in the body and vascular inflammation and its impact on cardiovascular health. When we're talking about the natural decline that tends to happen in males and their testosterone levels, this has implications of supporting all of those things, right? And I think that, I recently had, I won't mention names because I think he's on here, but I had a very close friend of mine notice that he used to get up every night to pee once or twice, right? To urinate. And so he noticed that his urine stream was very, very small, right? He took him forever to fully empty. And of course, that's common symptoms of prostate inflammation. And one of the first things that he noticed just a couple weeks in is now he's sleeping through the night without having to get up to urinate, and his urine stream is like 80% better. Now, who would have thought that this was going to impact the prostate gland, right? And so, that's for him, that's life changing because he's sleeping all night through the night now, right? And those urinary symptoms are improving. So we're seeing things, and I think we'll continue. This is what's exciting about that is we're 10 years into the research on this, but I really think we're just scraping the surface of what this can do. Right. What we do know about these salmon peptides is they're continuing to come out with research and studies that say, hey, this does more than we thought it could do. This does more than the other study said it could do. And I wouldn't be surprised in a year from now, we know new things that we never even talked about tonight that this can do. So I get excited when I think about what this is doing in people's health, how it's impacting their lives, and what the future has to hold for this.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, and because a lot of the conversation is coming out in the wash now with a lot of our morning conversations on Walk and Talk, and having a lady who has a medical background, ex-nurse, Candy McDonald, and she talked about how new this is, and to make sure that you guys, whatever you're experiencing, document and bring to the table, because we really don't know what all this product can do, what all this Ignite and Try GLP can do, because again, it hadn't been around long enough for us to get it out to the masses to see what the masses say about it and how the masses benefit. So again, guys, you guys are again, part of the process to make sure we collect that data and that intel. So again, pay attention to your bodies. All right.
Awesome. And
Let
we have an amazing testimonial group too that that is exciting to follow just to see what people are experiencing, in their bodies and people of all ages and all health situations are sharing how it's impacting them. And I love to just go and scroll and read and check that group out.
I know I had somebody, and this is a question, and I'll take this twofold because they asked if military personnel can use it. And I'll say athletes who play sports and stuff like that who do drug testing, and I know that's kind of where this is coming from. But I kind of already know the answer, but I want you to give it to them in your medical terms.
Yeah, for sure. We're not going to have any doping chemicals, right, show up out of this. This isn't blacklisted on any performance or by any colleges or professional teams testing for things like this. Um, and let's see, what was the first part? Sorry, I got off track.
When it comes to that, this is basically about like I said, about the military personnel and
Oh yeah,
athletes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing in here because we're talking about salmon peptides. There's no chemicals. There's no synthetic hormones, in here. There's not going to be anything that they're testing for to seek for, if there's anything that's performance enhancing or anything like that. So there's no problems there.
Okay. And Doc, just because I know we touched base on it, but we touched base from a diabetic, a children's diabetic perspective. But you did say that it's okay because it is a food, even if teens are not experiencing diabetics or diabetes, that they can still use it.
Yes, yes. And of course, you want to be careful whenever, and of course, you should mention things with your doctor, right? I'm not trying to bypass your physician, but we are simply talking about food ingredients. But I always encourage people to keep an eye on things, right? If your blood sugar is improving, no matter if you're type 1 or type 2 diabetic, that may over time require less medication or maybe require less insulin. And I've seen that happen in both cases, which is all good news, right? But you also want to be smart as your body's getting healthier. It may not need that same level of support. I've seen the same thing with blood pressure. People on a certain level of blood pressure medication, right? Their blood pressure starts to get better. And now their blood pressure is too low, right? Because they're on the same level of blood pressure medication. And so now the answer is they need to talk with their physician about maybe using less blood pressure medication, which what a bad problem to have, right? And so if you have a medical condition, that's something you need to monitor, make sure you're monitoring it because this is going to create some healthy changes in your body that might require you adjusting some things, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Now, as far as any parting shots, because again, I told you I was get you out of here in an hour, but anything that you think that people should know. Two parts. One, anything you think people should know that we haven't talked about as it pertains to the actual product, and then the second one is from a positioning of, because we have a lot of people who are on here also who are looking at the business side of it because the positioning is amazing. The competition that we don't have is amazing. It's almost that we're exclusive to the market, period, at this moment, timing wise, perfect. Um, what do you have to say? Because you are on both sides of the table. You are extremely successful in your retail practice, and you are extremely successful in your building out your business model practice as well. Can you give us some parting shots on both?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing way to have another source of income. We hear about all the time is people need multiple sources of income, and that's definitely what this has become for me. And I love what I do. I love to practice functional medicine. I love to help people with their health and get to the root causes of stuff. But in the end of the day, I am a small business owner, right? And if I don't show up to work, I don't get paid, And so this is important for me to have the other source of income. And as wild as it sounds, in less than a year, this side gig, if you will, may eclipse my 28-year practice in income. So how many things could say that about, their side gig, the power of direct sales, the power of network marketing, and the power of this compensation plan is something that I wasn't expecting. You know, I knew the aspect of it, but I didn't expect the level of success that has come in such a short time. And that's multiple. It's not my certainly not my talent that's caused that. It's really about the opportunity that presents itself. I think we have an amazing company that has an amazing compensation plan, but it's the right time with the right message, right? People are already looking for this. We don't have to go educate them on why they might be interested in a natural GLP, right? They're like, okay, take my credit card, right? I want this, right? And so we're seeing people that are having success here that may have struggled in other places. We're seeing people come on board and position themselves better, not only physically but financially. And so it's I'm excited about the financial aspect of this opportunity, and I think that that's a powerful part of it. Now, as a physician, I also carry nutritional supplements in my practice. And so, you know, you can structure this in such a way where, you know, you're getting product at, you know, basically the equivalent of 50% off, right? And then selling it for retail in your clinic or in your whatever your, you know, your market could be in your shop or in your spa, right? Or there's different ways that this could be utilized, but this could be certainly be a great product on the shelf. And you know, look how attractive this is on your shelf, right? So this is a very attractively packaged product, which serves well also, not to mention, you know, the other things we've talked about. So did I answer your question on that?
You did, and I appreciate that because, you know, matter of fact, speaking of how attractive it is, I know one of my Lashonda Ellis, who's a PT, my actual PT. She had, you should see her, you'd be proud of her. You know, she has her bags all over the place. She has her drops all over the place, and she really can't keep it. She's the reason why in our first 30 days we bought four gold packs. We went through 4 gold packs. She was one of the main reasons why. But I appreciate that, but also appreciate the fact that um, people can you've expressed how people can make money and how important it is for people to look at this as a viable income stream because things are changing. People's occupations are going away because of AI and a lot of other reasons. And for you to be able to eclipse in almost a year, you know, pretty much approaching what you've done in your 28-year practice, that's amazing. And you pretty much you have the ability to work your way out of business, you know, and had that residual recurring income coming in. And so that's the thing that's amazing. And so for me, that's one of the things I saw right away because once you've been in that environment before and you've seen an exclusive situation that nobody else has access to and you are first to market and you know how to get it out there, you make millions of dollars before everybody else even gets started. And so when I saw this, that's why when I talked to, you know, the owner and the CEO on Wednesday and Demetrius on Wednesday, um, I flew out on Friday to go to the event on that Saturday because I know, you know, based on my experience, what this can do. And so I appreciate you for your time again, for sacrificing time with your team again. That doesn't go unappreciated. I appreciate that, and I know everybody on here appreciates you for the time that you've invested with them today. And so, guys, what I would like for you all to do is really get back with the person who invited you out here today. One, tell them, you know, that you really do appreciate them for that, regardless of what you do, whether you do anything at all. You know, just say thank you because I can just tell you this. You know, they gave you an opportunity not to be first to get started, but they gave you an opportunity to be first to go out there and dominate the market, take up the market share. So when other people come with knockoff products, they won't be getting your market share. Okay. And then lastly, if you guys, before we get off here, please, you know, put some ones, some love, some hearts, some fire, some emojis in the chat for Dr. Thornton. Show him you appreciate him. And that way he may come back and do this for y'all again one day. So, Doc, appreciate it. Tell lovely Sarah we said thank you for allowing us to you, you know, this wonderful evening. And I'm quite sure you blessed somebody tonight. So thank you very much. And guys, Doc, and everybody here, guys, we'll see you guys at the top. We'll see you guys at the beaches on the beaches of the world. We can see you guys at the bank too. So we're going to be shopping there at the bank. Take care, guys. Bye bye.